try not to miss them because it's an absolute blast. It's a special time.
Play as a team and not individually.
Yeah, I took, I don't know how many pictures of it, 50 or so.
This is how you do it. After you get them loaded up, you get permission to go, and then you get in and get on your way.
I've had a number of people say this is more like a work of art than an ink pen.
Matt called me at work one day and said, I found this home in Goner. Where's Goner?
We've dominated the sport. Hendrick Motorsports has been identified as the 7th best sports franchise of all time.
We needed her to be homecoming queen because we wanted her to represent us as a whole, as the class of 2013. So that's just like, she's just an inspiration to all of us.
And the real ones aren't always where they want them. So they buy the fake ones from us, and they use them in a lot of the street scenes.
Those are just a few of the extraordinary people that I'll reacquaint you with in the next half hour. Hello everyone, I'm Lance Schwartz, and this is the 25th edition of the Best of Lance's Journal. Harold Jones was a train-aided humanitarian. In 1991, he started taking his mini train to camps for kids with cancer. When this story first aired in 2013, Harold had volunteered his time at 53 week-long camps over 26 years.
This is how you do it. After you get them loaded up, you get permission to go, and then you get in and get on your way.
This little green machine has held a special place in Harold's heart for a long time. Harold's mini train was built in the Havelock shops in Lincoln in 1976. He bought it in 1986. Little did he know at the time, this amazing little train would provide thousands and thousands of smiles over the next quarter century. Woo!
Yes, I do. I enjoy it every time I take it out. I've met some fine, fine people just because of the train.
Harold's mini train has thrilled riders for more than a decade here at Bellwood Days near Columbus.
This goes about 9 miles an hour, which is pretty fast for something like this.
But donating his time, train, and talents to Camp Quality since 1991 is what has left the most lasting impression on Harold's life.
Those kids that have cancer, they've never had a chance to enjoy life. That's all they know is doctors. And I think the most rewarding thing I've done is being involved with Camp Quality.
This guy is a natural-born giver.
I've been to 53 cancer camps across the United States, and I stayed a week at each one, so therefore I've donated a year of my life to kids with cancer.
And why did you do that?
What can I say?
How does that make you feel when you're giving of your time and your energy?
Well, it makes me feel good because I like kids.
It's fun to have a ride on a train with your family.
Tom Parker admires what his friend has done over the last few decades.
Well, Harold's just an overall good guy. Anybody that operated this thing for 25 years, never took a nickel for doing it. Pretty special guy.
Well, it was a good investment. No matter what happens to it, it was a good investment because I truly enjoyed doing this.
Unfortunately, Harold passed away back in May at the age of 81, and I was truly honored when Harold's family chose to show this very special edition of Lance's Journal at Harold's funeral. Now to a supercharged story that aired in November of 2012. It centered around a psychologist who knows an awful lot about motivating athletes. Dr. Jack Stark went from the Nebraska football team to NASCAR. There is nothing quite like it in all of sports.
I have absolutely had a blast doing it.
Trading paint, risking lives, going bumper to bumper at 200 miles an hour.
It's an unbelievable experience.
Dr. Jack Stark is a psychologist with an addiction to the high-speed heroics of NASCAR.
You get to know the people, it's intense, it's both a combination of high technical issues and athletics, and they meld together. And once you go to the races and you stay inside the pits and know everything that's going on, it's very addictive and it's intense.
And that's just the way Jack likes it.
You know, you're competing against guys and tenths of a seconds are
everything. It's huge.
For the past 11 years, Dr. Stark has been the team psychologist for Hendrick Motorsports.
We've dominated the sport. Hendrick Motorsports has been identified as the 7th best sports franchise of all time.
Jack works with some of the best drivers in the world, from Jeff Gordon to Jimmy Johnson to number 88, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
I can tell you that these are really, really nice guys. They're very patriotic, they're very spiritual, they're very family oriented. You don't run into problems, there's not a stinker in the bunch.
Jack says football and motorsports have a lot more in common than one might think. And after a long, successful career with the Huskers and more than a decade with Hendrick Motorsports, Jack is a guy that would know.
The big thing is team unity. That's really what I really try to work on. I have unity councils, I have team meetings, I have retreats, I do all those kinds of things. This is the pit box.
Dr. Stark is the only permanent sports psychologist in all of NASCAR.
A lot of my duties on the psychological side is, we have marriages, we have girlfriends, we have parents, we have kids, we have getting along with your crew chief and who's like a head coach. Every driver has about 100 people assigned to them. So you got to be a great driver, but you also have to be a great leader. You have to motivate your people.
You'd never know it by looking at it today, but not so very long ago, Lincoln's Haymarket was filled with deserted warehouses. Ann Burkholder would not be discouraged. In 1987, she bought the old Woods Brothers building, and the rest, as they say, is Lincoln art history.
I was born in 1940. It was just right before the Second World War.
Ann Burkholder found her calling very early on.
I just always remember being very interested in drawing and painting.
She was born in North Platte and raised in Custer County.
My first set of oils was when I was like 6, 7 years old. It was grown-up oils and painting on grown-up canvas.
And more than 1,000 canvases later, this 72-year-old trailblazer is still working on 4 or 5 oil paintings at a time.
There is something about this wide open space.
Most of them having something to do with landscapes in her beloved Nebraska.
I have been so lucky that I have been able to do this in my life because I do love it so much.
Ann was right out of art school when she had a studio in the downtown area.
And I kept thinking how fantastic it would be if I could work and live and show my work, be accessible to the public all in one place.
26 years ago, the Burkholder Project came to life at 7th and P Streets.
I still feel like it's the most interesting part of Lincoln.
Over the past quarter century, more than 125 artists have rented space here at the Burkholder Project. One of the 15 original artists is John Nollendorf.
Well, Ann Burkholder is a phenomenal entrepreneur, artist. She breaks the mold when it comes to trying to make money with art.
Lisa Holmquist has been Ann's gallery director for the past decade.
She is a woman of vision and courage.
Lisa sees Ann's enduring legacy on a daily basis.
One of the things Ann wanted to accomplish was creating working space for artists, but also a way for them to collaborate and support each other, and that has certainly happened.
This building is chock full of incredible art. It's home to 32 different studios, just like this one.
I come to work excited just about every morning. So it's a pretty good life.
A pretty good life indeed. Another talented artist made his way into Lance's journal in late 2012. Gary Jones's desire to preserve precious memories with his 2 sons turned into antler memory pins.
Memory is just a huge part of what makes life important. What can we do that can stimulate those memories?
The answer for Gary Jones? Antler memory pins.
People will bring me antler from a deer that they harvested.
Once Gary has the antlers, he puts them on his lathe and turns them into treasures. To most people, this looks like a big box of antlers. To Gary Jones, it looks like a big box of memory pins. It absolutely amazes me how he can turn this into this.
I've had a number of people say this is more like a work of art than an ink pen.
They look great on camera, but they look even better in real life.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard "wow" followed by "you made that." I try not to take that personally.
Gary loves to tell hunting stories.
It was the buck of a lifetime.
But the tales of the trophy deer on the wall always seem to pale by comparison to the stories about his favorite hunting partners.
Being able to have my sons with me when I killed trophy bucks was probably more special to me than the idea that I killed a trophy buck.
Gary dreamed up the memory pin concept a year ago when he was wondering what he should get his 2 grown sons for Christmas.
When I'm gone someday, I wanted my boys to have something that they would be able to have with them every day that they could remember me.
Maybe Gary's favorite deer hunting story happened when his son called him about an upcoming expedition.
He said, "Can I go?" And I said, "Well, Paul, it's too late to get a deer tag." And he said, I didn't want to hunt, I just want to come be with you. For a dad to hear words like that from his 25-year-old son, money can't buy that.
Now that's something any dad would love to hear from his son. Golfers from around the world got together in Lincoln in 2013 for the 65th annual National Amputee Golf Championship. And fortunately for my buddy Ken and I, we got to spend some quality time with a very inspiring golfer from Lincoln. Hello and welcome to the beautiful Wilderness Ridge Golf Course. I'm Lance Schwartz, along with a couple of gentlemen, one of which is one of the top 5 golfers in the 1011 weather department. Ken, I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I was told there'd be free lunch.
There will be.
Good.
We're also with one of the top 5 above elbow golfers in the nation, Dick Kroffel. I'm so glad you're here as well.
Well, thank you, Lance.
Gentlemen, let's swing some clubs.
Here we go.
Dick's been a teacher for 36 years. He got started at Norris and is now at Sco Middle School in Lincoln.
The greatest subject there is, American history.
Oh my gosh, that is the greatest subject.
Dick always enjoys a good challenge.
$1 closest to the pin.
Oh, we're going to play closest to the pin for $1?
Yeah.
Well, I hardly have. You're on, mister.
Ken came up with a nice little chip shot, but he had no idea who he was up against, because this 3-time national champion knows how to escape a sand trap in style.
He's just going to go ahead and chip in for a 2. Wow.
The weatherman's wallet just got a little lighter.
Great shot. There you go. There's the, I'm getting out of here.
Thanks, Ken.
Dick was just 20 years old when he lost his arm in a car accident in 1973.
I was in a little bit of a hurry coming home and passing another car, and a motorcycle came out, and I swerved to avoid it.
All things considered,
I'm very fortunate.
For how many ever years you've been playing golf, how important has the game of golf been to you?
Oh, it's very important to meet new people.
Dick invites amputees from all around the Midwest to join in on the fun.
It would be a good idea for them to make it here if they haven't been to a national tournament before, because it's kind of a celebration.
A celebration of inspiring people just like Dick Kroffel.
You are something special, and I don't know whether with your help today I got to be a little bit better golfer, but I'm pretty doggone sure I got to be a little bit better human being, and to me, that's a much bigger game in the grand scheme of things.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was a very memorable day for me at Wilderness Ridge. The mission at Shea Bubba Cafe in Goner is to provide a down-home atmosphere with a side of savory barbecue. At Shea Bubba, Matt Howe says you can bring a date or come in straight out of the field with mud on your boots.
Well, it's the excitement of being where our nation's business is done. I mean, you're footsteps away from pretty important people and get to see and do a lot of neat things.
Matt Howe's fiancée Julie was also enjoying life in our nation's capital.
I really liked life in DC, the culture, the nightlife. It was exciting.
Matt got married to Julie in 2002 and had a child a couple of years later.
My son was born, I had a few days off, and I worked 35 days in a row, weekends, nights.
Matt and Julie needed a better place to raise a family.
Matt called me at work one day and said, I found this home in Goner. Where's Goner?
Goner, as it turns out, is 11 miles west of Seward and not far from where Julie grew up.
Goner needs